the screen, you see, but welcome to another interview. And tonight we've got Mr. George Wilson, aka Ziggy from Grange Hill, and little Jimmy. Do you want us to give us a wave?
Yeah, can you see me? Yeah, okay. Hiya.
I can see you, mate. Yeah. Are you all right, George?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks. Yeah, still £1 million close to being a millionaire.
How are you coping with lockdown?
I'm okay. Yeah. Good days and bad days, you know. It's just one of them, isn't it? I've just said to myself, got to crack on with it, really, you know.
I know what you mean. You just, rather than thinking about it, just kind of like, there's nothing we can do about it. Just bite the bullet and get on with it, innit? But still hard.
I'm not paid. I keep my eye on what's going on. You know, I watch snippets, I watch bits of the news, and you know, people tell me things, but I don't watch read every conspiracy theory on Facebook or whatever, or the news, or you know, documentaries. I just need to know what I need to know. I don't need to know everything.
I completely agree with you, mate, because there's a lot of people, they've got their conspiracy theories and they're giving you stuff, and then there's somebody, you know, you've got the government telling you other things, and it's like, who do you listen to? So just like you, I do little snippets here.
If you listen to everyone, I'd go insane. So I just keep your distance. Distance is the best word.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're looking well, mate. Are you ready for question one? Because I know a lot of Grange Hill fans will be eagerly watching this, and Brookside fans.
Yeah, well, fire away.
Okay. Well, just to start off, it's just a quick question about your book, and then we're going to go backwards and go to Grange Hill and then move on from there. Okay?
Okay.
Don't worry. There's nothing hard, no hard questions.
Ian, it's all one big showboat, and you're the captain.
Oh, right. Well, thank you very much, but there's no show without you. Nobody's tuning in for me. They're tuning in for you.
Go on, mate.
Go on then. Right, let's fire away. Because I imagine writing your book must have felt like a double-edged sword in a way, because in one respect you were tackling and confronting your demons, which is a good thing, but also having to write about things that, you know, you'd rather, but you can't. You'd rather forget, though.
Yeah. I never ever planned on writing a book about what I'd been through. It was about 5-6 years ago, I think I put a post up for the first time ever on Facebook. It was during a mental health week, I think. Yeah. And I got a lot of people commenting, which surprised me, saying about their problems. And I got a lot of private messages saying as well that didn't want to go on, you know, on the Facebook. And I was overwhelmed by this kind of response. And every so often I put another little post up, and I was getting the same reactions. And then I thought, people were saying to me as well, you know, you should write a book. You know, you people could learn from, you know, you've had 30 years of the illness. People could take from you. And I didn't.
People respond to it more if it's a public figure as well.
Yeah,
you know, like yourself, you know, well-known face.
Yeah, that's it. And I thought, well, it might be therapeutic as well, because I have kept a lot inside. I didn't talk about it a lot to anybody. My mates, my family, we just didn't talk of it. It was just something that happens, and I move on, I get over it, and that's the cycle. But so this was the first time I ever written anything about it and thought about things that I'd wanted to forget, really. A lot of it you just want to forget. But anyway, I went back to that place, the dark place. But what I tried to do was not make it all dark, not make it all sad.
No, it definitely wasn't all sad. There's lots of laughs in your book.
Well, that's what I tried to do, mix it up a little bit, you know, put a bit of comedy in there, funny stories. And the main thing at the end is the hope that, you know, it's not the do-all and end-all, that you can get over it and live a life, you know. It's not, you don't have to be you know, sucked down by it.
But
I can't think of the word, but you know, you don't have to let it rule you. You know, you can rule it in the end.
No, of course, and obviously you're not going to let it hold your life back anymore, are you?
No, well, no. I live differently. I take precautions. I live a different lifestyle than what I used to, say, 20 years ago. You know, I was pretty hectic lifestyle I used to lead, I don't lead that so much now. And that obviously...
you don't smoke or drink now, do you?
No, it's hard. That's not easy.
I bet it is.
No,
because I was reading that there was one chapter. I think I think it was a Grange Hill reunion. You were all in a bar and everybody was getting merry, and you felt like you were having to just take it slowly on your shandies. And you were saying, like, even though you knew it was the right thing to do, you felt a bit frustrated. But you must feel. I bet you feel better for it in the morning, there.
Yeah, I don't miss the hangovers, certainly. But it's not just Grange Hill reunions. It's anything. Most of your family, 99% of my family drink. My missus drinks, my son drinks, and he's dying to get drunk with me, and I can't. I keep trying to explain to him, I'd love to, mate, but I just can't do it, because it's not so much the hangover in the morning. I can handle a hangover, after so long, you get over it, as you know. It's in the long run. I suffer for a month or two. I have like my heart pumps constantly after I've had a drink, and I get shakes for weeks, and then I start getting like. Not aggressive, but touchy and moody. I snap at people. And it's just not. I'm just not a nice person to be around, and I know this. So I just think, well, it's not worth it for not just for me, but for other people as well. No. They don't deserve to be around a person like that,
But I mean, you've been really brave. I don't want to sound patronised when I say that, but you have been really brave to put all this down onto paper, and then to, you've literally put your whole life story on paper for everybody else to read. But I do think absolutely it will definitely help other people.
Yeah, well, that was the reason. As I say, all them messages made me think I can possibly do something here. And I thought this is about the time to come out. I've been a long time hidden. And I felt there was a fair bit I can pass on, pass on the knowledge of what I've learned through observations and what I've learned myself, taught myself, self-taught a lot of things, watched a lot of things, and come through. So you can only, if I can't teach people who are, especially younger people, I like to think as well, when I was 21, when I first went in hospital, I didn't have a clue what was happening to me. No. It was just like a tornado, and I was like so frightened in hospital. I didn't know what was happening, and now I know so much more than what I did then. So if I was 21 again now, and I had maybe I could read my book, it would. I know it would help me. Certain things that I could teach myself.
Because obviously when you were 21, then people didn't talk about it so openly like they do now, do they?
Oh, it was like a shame. You felt ashamed, almost embarrassed.
You called a skeleton in the closet in your book, I remember. Like having a skeleton in the closet, living with bipolar at the time.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know I had bipolar until I was 40. 10 years ago. I just thought we just thought they were breakdowns, like nervous breakdowns. Every so often, every 7 years I'd have one. Didn't know it was bipolar till I was about 40. And what was the question? Sorry, I forgot.
Oh, it was just basically, do you know what? I've completely gone blank myself. Great stuff. It was because I was listening to your story and then just planning on the next one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, go on. Sorry.
No, I can't. I went off a bit of a tangent. I just can't remember what the point was.
Well, it was just basically about whether it's because we were saying it was therapeutic for you, and there were a lot of things that you didn't want to forget. And it's been 7 years now since you were last hospitalised. Is it 2013? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, that was the last time. Yeah.
So it's been quite a long time. Is that the longest period you've been without?
More or less. I first went in when I was 21, and then I went in when I was 29. So there was a good 9-year gap there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So I've got another couple of years to beat that one. Hopefully I'll do it. But I know more now. That gap between 21 to 29, I lived like a Viking. I was out every night more or less. I was just living like, Well,
you're young. You were partying. You were a star.
I know.
Enjoying your fame.
I didn't know I had the illness. So I was just, you know, I was late nights. I was overworking. I was putting plays on, writing plays, and we were putting them on and did different towns every night. And it was just, I just never stopped for a long, long time, and it just wore me out in the end. I just broke down again, you know, the second time. So I've learned now that these 7 years I've had now out of hospital, I've learned not to overwork, not to go out partying, not to let someone stress me out, because that can happen. People can stress you out.
Social media, especially.
Yeah, because, you know, there's bullies out there, not bullies as like playground bullies, but people can, you know, mentally bully you, try to bully you. I don't let them do it. You know, I've seen bosses over the years try and bully you. I've worked in places and there's been management who are bullies, you know. They're in all kinds of walks of life. So I don't let them stress me anymore. I don't, you know, just keep it at bay. Keep a lot of things at bay.
Well, I'm taking notes off you because I let things get to me sometimes and people and stuff. So I'm taking notes off you. About like not letting it get to you, because it's just really not worth it, is it?
Not at the end of the day, no. They're no better than you. But they think they are because they may be in a higher position or they might have more money or whatever. It doesn't mean nothing to me now. I don't let people get to me. I try not to let people get to me anyway.
Yeah, because social media can be a real drawback. I find social media can be something where especially if you spend too much time on it, sometimes it can be, there's lots of trolls. And I mean, do you get you
can get involved. You can get involved in arguments that you needn't get involved in, you know.
I get involved in political arguments, but I've taken it back now, because all you do is argue with some stranger you don't know, you're never going to meet, and it goes nowhere. You just end up like trying to point score off each other, and it's like, well, you're not arguing about the actual subject itself now.
And that person, you know, it's not going to change their mind, and you're not going to change your mind. So you're just hitting a brick wall. So that's why I don't get involved in arguments on Facebook. I have people, because I give everybody a chance. Someone wants to have me, and I think I don't know this person. I might have a few friends in common, maybe I might have no friends in common, but I'll add them. I'll check the profile first. See, it's not, you know, an absolute, you know, lunatic or something holding a gun, you know. So I'll add whatever, and then once they make a horrible or nasty remark, say to me or any of my friends or family on there, then I just delete them and block them. It's simple. Get out of my life. It's just
without thinking about it, just do it, isn't it?
Yeah, just get rid of them. Don't need people like that in my life.
You want to have a toke on your vape, don't you?
I'll have a look at it.
You can do it. Well, on that note, just to take, so are you ready to go back in time now? Because we're going back to when you went for your audition for Grange Hill. You were appearing in a local play and ended up arriving late for a show, and the director belittled you in front of everyone, just going off what we were saying. And I know you sent him a postcard when you started on Grange Hill. So just laughingly, did he ever get back to you? I bet he regrets having to go to you now.
No, he never got back to me. I don't even know whether he got it, but I presume he did, because he was at the time, it was the Liverpool Playhouse, and he directed a play, Romeo and Juliet, and I got in it. And I went to the audition, and I didn't expect it to be so long. I just thought I'd go in, and I'd get it or I wouldn't get it. But we kept getting held back and back and back. And next thing, the time's flying, and it's like I was on stage, I think at 7. I didn't get to Manchester Piccadilly for something like 6 o'clock. So I was about 10 minutes late. I walked in the theatre, and he just screamed at me, and the whole cast are there watching, and he really, really did scream at me. And as I say, I'd never had anybody talk to me like this, and another adult, no teacher even from my school, West Derby, that ever spoke to me like this fella. I was like, I walked out in tears. I was like, fuck, it's terrible, you know, really, he really got to me. And he said, "You'll never work again in this city." That was the last thing he said to me. And I walked out of theatre, and I didn't know whether I had the part in Grange Hill, though, because it wasn't to find out the next day.
No.
And I got home, and all my family were in the audience and waiting for me to come on. And they thought, you know, where is he?
Oh, yes, you disappeared and went home. I remember this part of the story, yeah.
He played my part, the director. So anyway, I goes home. My dad rings me at the interval, and he said, "Well," I answered the phone. It was at my house phone, not a mobile. So, no, because if there would have been mobiles then, I could have rang the director. I said, "Listen, I'm going to be 10 minutes late, hold the fort."
Oh, well, of course, back in those days,
But you couldn't in 1985.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, cut a long story short, my dad and all the family come home. Next day, gets the part in Grange Hill, goes to London, and after a month, I thought, you know what, I want to send that director a postcard.
Say the word if you were going to. I know what you were going to say. You can say it.
So I goes into one of them London shops, you know, where they have all the gifts and all that, and I found one with London on it, you know, that had the Tower of London on it, and the London Bridge, whatever, you know, in the Thames, and I just put on it I won't say his name because it's, you know, I just say his name was Fred. Put to Fred, wish you were here, George. That's all I put.
And so he would have seen you on Grange Hill as well.
He would have seen that, but he knew because I said to him I was at the audition for Grange Hill. I said that to him.
And that didn't even mean anything to him, did he not?
He didn't care about that. All he was his play, you know.
He was just bothered about the play. Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, well, I wonder if he kept the postcard as a souvenir.
I don't know. It would have pissed him off. It would have pissed him off, I'm sure.
Good. He deserves it.
Yeah. I know.
I bet he don't have a go at people again, does he?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Okay, well, this is a good one because number 3, Mr. Phil Redmond himself, the creator of both Brookside and Grange Hill, chose you for the role of Ziggy Greaves. Now, can you remember much about that? Because I know you talk about it a bit in your book. Can you remember much about that fateful audition 35 years ago, back in 1985?
Yeah, I remember main bits of it. It was, I went there, I think my dad didn't even go with me on this one. He was working because he used to work on the docks, my dad, so he couldn't go. My mum was working. So my agent took me, which wasn't Ricky Tomlinson, but his brother, Ronnie Tomlinson. He was my agent. They were my agent, Ricky Tomlinson, Ronnie Tomlinson, and a guy called Tommy. Great guys. And Ronnie took me to the audition. So me and him were sitting outside. There was another kid from Leeds. He went in first. And all Phil Redmond does when he wants to pick, when he's got 1 or 2 left, like this was, is he just talks to you, asks you like 4 or 5 questions, and then he picks who he wants. So the first fella went in, and he was in there for about 5 minutes, say, tops. And then he come out. And then I went in. He asked me a series of about 5 questions, maybe things like, it's like a blank a bit what they were exactly.
Yeah, well, it's a long time ago now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was you're sort of on autopilot, but it would have been something like, if you were to move to London, how would you cope? Would you be okay living away from home and away from your school and all this? And I just give him the answers he needed to hear, really, which was sort of, I'd have no problem. I wasn't going to say, oh, yeah, I think I would have a big problem, so wouldn't I? I wasn't going to say that. So I just told him, you know, all positive answers. You know what I mean? I just said, yeah, I said that, no problem. And I was right. I did handle it for 4 years.
Yeah, you did. Was it 4 series you were in, weren't it?
Yeah, well, we never knew whether it could have been 1. It might have worked. They might have written him out after 1. It was initially 1, but they kept us for 4. So,
well, he became iconic, didn't he? It was like you said in your book. He became like the next generation's Tucker, like what Tucker was in the 70s. You were like him, but from Liverpool, obviously.
Yeah, I think I got told like Phil Redmond would have had Ziggy character in Grange Hill before Tucker, but only it was set in London. He had to have Tucker as a Cockney. Tucker would have been a Scouser if Grange Hill would have been set in Liverpool.
Oh, because it was in the later years, wasn't it? Did they move to Liverpool in the later years?
In the late years, yeah. Just before it ended, it came back to. They'd have done that when I was in it. I wouldn't have had to travel up to London every couple of weeks, would I? I would have just had to walk down the road.
Oh, that would have been nice.
No, it was a nice experience, the whole London thing, and the guys. It was. I'm glad it was London. It was a nice. It was my first sort of. Travel sort of first, what would you call it? Living away, working away.
Being away from home, yeah.
it was nice to do that and go through it all, you know.
Well, I've got a few questions about that as well coming up, about the people you were staying with, but that's just a little bit later. Because, because on your very early days of Grange Hill, now I know, because I'm not just saying this just because I'm interviewing you, but Ziggy and Robbie were always my favourites. I remember that. And I remember all the faces of the cast, but the main names I remember is Mrs. McCluskey, yourself, and Robbie. But I gather you and John Alford, even though you're great mates now, had a fight nearly in the early days. Was it the first week you were there or something?
Yeah.
Because I mean, the characters didn't bond straight away. They became great friends in the show, but they didn't at first, did they?
No, the characters didn't.
Because they were all saying, "Oh, Ziggy's a scout. He thinks he's hard," and they did the tricks on you in the.
Yeah, it took a few months, I think, a good few episodes before he become mates with John Alford, with Robbie. But it was the same in real life. He was the first to speak to me as I got on the coach. He was the first to speak to me, and he was looking at me, you know, and weighing me up. And then he said something about football because he was an Arsenal fan. I was obviously a Liverpool fan. And so we had the initial football thing, you know, and then he kept baiting me throughout the week, you know, scarce and all this, and little snardy comments. And then in the end, and I knew he was like, for the younger ones anyway, I think the toughest of all of them was Zamo, because he was a boxer when no one would mess with him neither. But the younger ones, John was like what was known as the top boy, you know. He was from a rough, tough council estate, you know, in North London, so he knew that he wasn't soft. And I didn't. Anyway, don't know what was said. Something got said. We went for a walk, and the mad thing is we had this scrap on the grass. And he was too fast. I couldn't even get a punch on him, I don't think. He just kept knocking me down.
Oh.
The thing he didn't like is I kept getting back up and trying again. I was coming at him again. And this went on for me, I don't know how long. It was like Cool and Luke. That's what, remember the film with Paul Newman? We joked about it, saying it was like Cool and Luke. And
you just kept getting back up.
I'm covered in grass. And he just said, "Look, yes, your game." That was his words. "Let's forget it, eh?" And I just thought, "Yeah, if you don't mind." And we hugged each other, and we became really close friends. Never fell out of an argument since.
You know? And I bet you laugh at that fight now, don't you?
Well, I had to go back to the studio with all this grass all over me. You know.
Oh, so how did that go down with the producers and stuff?
Well, I couldn't say what had happened. You know what I mean? But my face as well. I was all my eye. I had a black eye come up, and so I looked in a terrible state. So it didn't look good. Within the first week, you know. But that's
what's the first week then this happened? Oh God.
This was the first week. Yeah. But that, you know, we laugh about it now. I don't hold it against him. That's just it. That's his way of getting to know you.
Yeah. I mean, you see each other regularly and stuff now still, don't you?
Yeah, still see the fellow, yeah. I see them a couple of months ago. I was in London. I seen him, met up with him, yeah. Yeah, he's fine, yeah. He's doing okay.
Has he got anything lined up? Is he doing any work now, or has he left the industry now? Or...
He still keeps his eye on it and that. He still keeps an eye on the industry and that. He's got little bits and bobs going on. He does, like, I've seen him. He's popped up in a few films. I don't know if you've seen the Hatton Garden Heist. He's in that. He has a little go in that, which he done last year, I think. Yeah, so he still keeps his hand in there.
Brilliant. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, this is just a bit your brain. Can you recall, or can you remember? It's not a test. Can you remember your very first scene in Grange Hill? Well, I watched this the other day for the first time in God knows how many years, so I know the answers to this. I just want to see if you remember.
I think I was wearing a Genesis t-shirt.
Yes.
Because I used to try and throw my own little things on everything, you know, like my own little tastes of music and my own little sayings.
Yeah. It says in your book about how you deliberately wanted to have your before you had the uniform, you had the Genesis T-shirt on because you were a fan.
Yeah, I got that in straight away. I set me the benchmark. These are the things I want to be doing. So I had my Genesis on, and I think I'm sitting on a wall or a fence, and they walk past a few of them trying to wake me up. I think was that the first one?
That was the very first one, yeah. I mean, you look really young compared to like 3 years down the line. The scene that I posted the other day where all you and the lads are all in that in the school trying to find the mystery and truth. That was like a few years on. It's amazing how quickly you'd shot up. Because you look really, really young. You and Robbie look really young in the first series you were in.
Well, I was 15. He would have been 14 because he's always been a year younger. So by the time I finished, I was 18. So when you look at pictures of anyone when they're 15 and then 18, you do look a lot. You start looking after yourself a bit more when you're 18, don't you?
Yeah.
When I went in, I was quite scruffy. I just come from here and I had long hair. It was all the mullets and that on it, and I cringe sometimes. I cringe, I see footage of myself. But as I progressed, I started getting a bit more stylish, and my hair was a bit. I'd look after myself a bit more, and
you had plenty of girls fancying Ziggy. I mean, there was a girl that posted saying, I was always in love with Ziggy earlier on today. I noticed a comment. I don't know if you saw it. Yeah, good girl.
Yeah. Well, obviously there was a few girls knocking about during them days,
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm glad you remember your first scene. So, oh yeah, because after your first episode, because I know you started in 1985 and it went to transmission the following year in early 1986. So I'm just wondering when your first episode of Grange Hill aired, how did you find that transition of suddenly being, recognised everywhere you went and having your name Ziggy shouted out everywhere?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because but I'd seen the other lads get it. I'd seen John get it when I'd go out with him. People shouting and coming up to him, and the guy who played Trevor, John as well. I'd seen, because I used to knock about with them most, and I'd see them get recognised all the time. So I kind of knew what was to come, but it still wasn't prepared yet, I don't think. And the first time I got it, I'll never forget, because I was filming in Elstree, and then I got to Tooting Broadway to get to Mitcham, where I lived. And I used to always go in the arcade after work. Just used to go in and play on these little OXO machines. And I goes in, and there was a gang of black guys recognised me, and they sort of surrounded me. And I got nervous, as you would with any gang of people around you. And one of them, when I had this kid, he went, excuse me, are you that geezer out of Grange Hill? I didn't know what to say. I thought, say no. Or do I say yeah? So I just went, yeah. I went, look, here's the geezer off Grange Hill. And they were all like, shaking my hand and hugging me and everything. I was like, this is nice. That was probably the best.
Yeah,
that was the best way you could ever be recognised. It was a nice experience, and I'm glad it was a nice experience. It wasn't, some horrible, scumbag or something pick on me or try and kick off on me in a bar. It was just, a group of guys.
Everybody loved Ziggy, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they'd only done one episode, so we didn't. This was the first episode, don't forget. I pushed there in the pond in Melden.
Oh, yeah, in Melden.
You must have just seen that. And this was about an hour or two later. So I never thought I'd ever get recognised on the first night. But I did, yeah. It was weird. But I'm just saying. I was going to say,
in your era of Grange Hill, of course, we'd have only had the 4 channels then. So the ratings for Grange Hill would have been a lot higher than what they became. Obviously what they would be now. So I imagine it was going out to like 10, 15 million at the time. Because I know Grange Hill was pretty, serious stuff at the time. I mean, my mum and dad used to watch it as well. I mean, after you left, it didn't seem to get as much attention after you left, I thought. I mean, I still watched it and enjoyed it, but it wasn't as talked about as much by the press, I thought. Did you find that?
Yeah, I know a few people have said that. I don't know. They lost a big...
Do you think that was anything to do with restrictions imposed? Because I know Phil Redmond, or I'd read something about Phil Redmond, he'd had his hands tied with Brookside, wanting to go further with certain stories, and obviously the channel was telling him no. And I'm just wondering, Do you reckon that's what it could be with Grange Hill? Because it softened a little bit, I thought. It didn't have that hard edge when you were in there, you know, later on.
Yeah. I didn't really, it sounds bad this, but I didn't really watch it when I left because I was busy. I was working and doing other things, and so I didn't really catch it. So I don't know a lot of what went on, you know. So.
Oh, I'm not putting it down. I mean, it was really good still. I just mean it just like in the 80s was my favourite period, but then it was my age. And obviously I just remember the 80s Grange Hill being really like, you know.
Well, he tackled all the big storylines.
Samo, like the drug storyline, for instance. I mean, that was pretty good.
Yeah, you've got the heroin, right, which is massive. You've got the heroin storyline. You've also had racism. That was tackled with Gripper. That was massive at the time and still is. Yeah. So you had that. You had bullying on other scales. You had teenage pregnancies. You even had like a paedophile in a park in one scene. He tries to get one of the kids. That was never seen on British television at the time in the 80s, or it might have been late 70s. But they tackle things that no one would dare touch on British television. And that's why it was so popular. The more controversial it got and controversial storylines, the bigger it got. Because they were going places nobody else had the bottle to do.
It's a bit like Brookside.
Well, yeah, that was similar, yeah. And they could do more. They could do a little bit more as well in Brookside because of the time.
Slightly later.
A bit later as well,
yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, next question, because... oh, yeah, just out of interest, I mean, how long did it take normally for a series of Grange Hill to be made? Because I know, like, each season had about 20-odd episodes, so how long were you doing that?
It took a year to do a series, basically.
Oh, right, okay. So you obviously had a slower schedule than what you did on, like, Brookside, because Brookside was, like, 3 days a week, I suppose, so I suppose they had a faster...
So when I went in, it was... I was only in Brookside for 3 months. People think it was longer, but when I went in the second time to do the group...
remembers Little Dibby, that's why.
Yeah. Well, it was only 3 months, but it was an intense 3 months. Yeah. It was like 5 days a week. I was working every day for 3 months for 5 days a week, and that's why it seemed probably longer, because it was stretched out, the episodes. But personally, it was only 3 months' work. It just seemed longer for the viewers, you know.
Definitely. Okay. Well, this is still on the subject of Grange Hill, because now you don't have to answer this one, because I'm just thought I'm going to ask, because I'm just intrigued, because you and your mate, you call him Drummond. He was the one who played. Yeah.
You just broke up a little bit there, Ian.
Oh, it's all right. I can hear you now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Sorry about that, folks. I thought we were going to lose the connection then. You and your mate Drummond, he was the one that played Trev, am I right?
Yeah.
Because you were working near EastEnders, and I know you used to chat to Leslie Grantham, who played Dirty Den, but... there was some incident that made you write EastEnders is shit or something on there. And I just wondered, because did they all complain that you were all too loud or something? Because you were only kids.
Yeah, not all of them. There was a few of them that used to complain. I'm not even going to say who, but a few of them used to complain to our bosses, saying the Grange Hill crowd were making loads of noise in the corridors and were too noisy, and they were trying to, relax in the green room, and all they could hear was nutters running up and down, So this went on for the full 4 years I was there. So on my last day, I said to Drummond, it's my idea, not John's. I don't want to blame him, I said, we've got to write EastEnders is shit above the dressing room. So he lifted me up. I got the pen and wrote. And then we just got off quick,
You've never heard anything about it since?
I don't know what happened. They would have come in the next day and seen it.
Well, I was very sorry for it, because I imagine this would be my worst nightmare, to meet someone, because I know that Leslie Grantham used to speak to you, but there was a lady that went past and you asked her for an autograph or something, and didn't she say something like, "Oh, I'm sick of people asking for autographs. It's happening at work now," or something? Is that right?
Yeah.
That must have been gutting.
Yeah, I was, because my sister wanted her autograph, and
You can't tell us who it is, can you?
No, I didn't put it in the book.
I'm only joking. I know you wouldn't name names in the books. That's fair enough.
Yeah, no, maybe she was having a bad day, and I just timed it totally wrong. So that's why she had that attitude with me, or she was having women's problems. I don't know, but I asked her for her autograph, and she was really nasty to me, and I felt like that, and yeah, but as I say, it taught me a lesson. I thought, if anyone ever asks me for an autograph in the future, I won't ever be like that. I won't treat someone like that, because I won't make. I don't want anyone to feel like how I felt.
Because I imagine, like, if that happened to me, I don't think I'd ever be able to look at them again, and it would really be a disappointment, and you couldn't get over that, how rude they'd been to. Do you know what I mean? That would hit you every time you look at them, I suppose.
Yeah, it was just one of them. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe she was having I don't know what she could have been going
through. But you've moved on and you've forgot about it now. I think you've really got. Yeah, I just thought I'd try and find out who it was, but I was starting to hear about this EastEnders chick, because I did find that quite funny.
I've never said who it was in 30 years. I'm not going to now, am I?
No. Okay. I was going to ask you off camera, but I thought, well, we'll just say what.
Yeah. But you just got to think EastEnders in '85. Who was the biggest one in it?
Well, I did think that, and then the first person that came into my head, and I thought, no, I don't want to name her, but I think I know who it could be. If it's the most famous woman that was in EastEnders at the time, then I think I know.
Yeah.
It was the most famous one. Well, we'll leave it at that. I'll just have to keep names. Because there's been reunions of Grange Hill over the years, but about what all the cast are up to now. So I'm just wondering I know you do explain it in your book, but who are the cast do you see nowadays?
The ones I see mainly is John Alford, Johnny Drummond, Trevor.
We've become friendly with
Blair, who played Imelda. Blair, who played Imelda, and Helen. Funny enough, them two who were my enemies in it are really good friends. We meet up as well when we're in London, and they've come to Liverpool a couple of times. So I love them two to death.
The one who played Imelda, she's an estate agent, isn't she now?
Yeah.
So I just remember your book now, yeah.
And Ruthie lives in New Zealand, but she comes over from time to time, and when she does, I'll do my utmost to meet the girl, And when we have reunions, Zamo, Lee McDonald's always there. Ricky, who played Ant, he's a good guy. I like to meet up with him as well. We had one recently with Phil Redmond was there, and the old producer Ron, who picked me out initially at the auditions in Manchester. He was there. He was 93, so it was lovely seeing him again. And loads of the guys were there that night. It was a really good night. And Todd Carty, Tucker was there. So I've only met him twice, and every time I meet him, well, twice. The 2 times I've met him, we get on like a house on fire. We just chat. We have to be pulled apart because we just click, because our characters were so alike.
Yeah.
And our personalities, we laugh about our characters together,
And you did Celebrity Pointless with Gwyneth Paltrow, didn't you?
Yeah.
Was that last year?
That was. That was last year, was it? Yeah. She was great, Gwyneth. I mean, I was so nervous on that. I wasn't going through a good time when I'd done that. I was having, a few panic attacks a few days earlier, and just out of the blue, there's a few things going on, and then I was having these panic attacks. And the agent rang me, he said, George, Pointless, 2 days, do you want to do it? And I thought, oh, God, I can't do live. Well, it wasn't live, but, it feels like live.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't really want to do this the way I'm feeling right now. But he said, well, have a think on it. And I did. And then I thought, well, I need the money as well. It was quite good money, So I just thought, sod it, I'll do it. It'll give me an excuse or a reason to get over what I'm going through, these panic attacks, because it'll give me something to focus on.
Yeah, of course.
So I used it for that as well. And I went to London, and Gwyneth I hadn't seen since I left. and we still keep in contact now. We WhatsApp each other. We got each other's. She loves WhatsApp.
Oh, really? Is she on social media?
No, she's not on any social media.
No, sensible woman.
Uses WhatsApp.
It's WhatsApp only.
Yeah, WhatsApp's only. So we keep in touch all the time. I send her pictures, and she sends me stuff, and she's great. Totally. Not. I mean, although she was a nice headmistress in a lot of ways, she wasn't like an evil one, was she? But she's not like that headmistress type. She's just like a cool woman, really. She's not what you'd think.
Well, it's nice that you've kept in touch, because I know you said she was probably the last one that you'd imagine to become really good friends with, but obviously since Pointless, you've kept in touch, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would never have dreamed that I'd be, WhatsApping Mrs. Mac.
Yeah.
30 years down the line. It's it's cool. It's cool. So.
Well, there's some other memories for you, because you were involved in the Just Say No single, weren't you?
Yeah.
Did you go on Top of the Pops for that?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
You didn't go to the White House either, did you?
No.
Because I know that you will remember this. I know, because it was in the last chapter of your book. But I watched for the first time in about 16 years. It was a couple of weeks ago when I knew I was doing this interview. I wanted to go back and have a look at that Bring Back Grange Hill show with Justin Lee Collins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because he sort of mobs you in the train station, and you're sort of like, oh, someone's having me on here, aren't they?
Yeah.
But one of the actors said, not that I'm surprised or anything, but I can't remember what character he played, but he basically explained that some of the people, I'm sure I don't know if it was the White House, but they got stoned before they were due to go on and talk about and sing Just Say No. So I don't know if you know anything about that, or... Yeah,
that was the guy, Maluki, I think, that played Kevin. He said that. It's just a load of nonsense. No, I wasn't there, but I've spoke to the guys who went, and it was just nonsense.
Oh, really? So that didn't happen?
No,
I mean, we were all talking about it at the work the next day. I remember when it first went to broadcast. Well, did you remember that Just Say No single? And they were all stoned, so it's absolutely not true.
No, as far as I know, that didn't happen. No, that was just in. I don't know, trying to make waves. I don't know why he said it, to be honest. I don't know why.
It's 35 years ago now, and you were all kids. So I just thought I'd ask that anyway, because I do remember that show. It was really good to see everybody again. Oh, yes, because this is quite a sad part of your book, because in the early years of Grange Hill, just before we move on to the next one, in the early years of Grange Hill, in real life, you had to stay with a family who you didn't particularly like, to a point where you were ready to jack Grange Hill and go home.
Yeah, I'd done about a month with them, and it was just I just couldn't settle. They were very strict, and I was sharing a bedroom, bunk beds, with this son of the woman who was looking after me, and I couldn't move. I couldn't go out. I was getting letters sent to me off my pals, and my mum was writing to me. And when she gave me the letters one day, they were open. And I questioned it. I said, why are my letters open? And she said, while you're living under our roof, I need to know what's going on in your life.
What?
And that was the last straw. I just thought, I'm out of here, So I packed my case in the morning. I left early, so she didn't know. I had my case. I'm not alone. Just had enough. And that's when I met this guy at Marylebone Station called Jeff. He was a chaperone on the show. Really, possibly one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He's not with us anymore. He passed away about 10 years ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but I stayed with him for the 4 years. Him and his wife and his daughter, Emma, they basically looked after me. They made me want to stay there in London. If it wasn't for them, I would have gone home.
Yeah.
He said, I've got a room there in Brixton. You're welcome to come back, meet your family. If you're happy, you can stay as long as you like. And that's what happened. I went back. Within 5 minutes of sitting in the room, Bob Dylan was playing on his hi-fi. His wife was playing Bob Dylan, who I loved, because my mum used to play Bob Dylan since I was born, And it was just dead chilled, and yeah, do you want, you know, what do you want? And she made me a sausage. My favourite meal was sausage, chips, and beans. Made me that. I was like, that was beautiful, because she used to work in a cafe in London when she was younger, so she was a great cook.
Yeah.
And the Rolling Stones used to go in her cafe. She used to cook for the Rolling Stones.
No way.
In her cafe in South London. So yeah, so she was a great cook, and that wasn't the reason to stay, you know, but
no,
just nice people.
But it was a bonus as well.
Yeah, it was a bonus. So yeah,
sorry, go on.
Yeah, just say for 4 years, that's where I stayed.
You've just, because you reminded me of the Rolling Stones, then there was a part of the book, I wasn't going to ask you this, but I just wondered, you met, because I love the Animals, the group, the 60s.
Oh,
group.
yeah.
You met Eric Burden, I gather.
Once I met him, yeah.
And he recognised you, didn't he?
Yeah. We were doing, well, he kind of had to, because me and Phil Redman were doing, it was with him, she was a model, she was like a model from Liverpool, Debbie Greenwood, if you remember her. She'd done like it's like This Morning, but it wasn't called This Morning. Good Morning Britain, or one of them.
PDAM, something.
Type of shows, you know, morning, whatever it's called. Anyway, he was on it, Eric Burden, and me and Phil Redmond. And I love the Animals myself. You know, my dad used to play the Animals all the time. You know, we got to get out of this place, House of the Rising Sun.
Oh, that's one of my favourite, House of the Rising Sun, yeah.
Yeah, well, I love all that, you know, all rock, most rock music, good rock music.
I know, the Beatles. I know you're a big fan of the Beatles as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, brought up on all that. So, Burden was, you know, he was a great guy. He was a Geordie, and we were just chatting. You know, he's northern, like myself. I was from Liverpool. He's from Newcastle. Yeah. So we were just chatting, and you know, just two old working class musicians talking to a young working class actor. We just got on like that.
Because I think he lives in America now, doesn't he? I think.
Does he? Yeah.
I think so. I know he's on Twitter. I don't think he does it very much, but he's got to be. I don't know if he's 80 now, isn't he? He's got to be nearly 80.
Yeah, he would be probably about that. Yeah, yeah.
He's looking well, I'll tell you. He does
look
well.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, I just had to ask you about that because I do like Eric Burden from The Animals, so just being nosy. Well, this is the last question about Grange Hill, because then we're moving on, because I'd like to know this. Were you happy about the conclusion of Ziggy? And because I haven't seen it in such a long time, how did his storyline end? How did Ziggy leave Grange Hill? Was it a happy ending?
Yeah, he wasn't like killed off or anything.
No.
It was just went back to Liverpool. His dad, it didn't really explain it, but I think the last episode, you know, he's going. I could have stayed, you know, I could have done another sixth form. I was offered to do the sixth form, but at the time, I didn't want to. I wanted to come home. I'd done 4 years in London. If I could go back, I'd do that. I would have done that sixth form, you know, when looking back, because nothing really happened. Not everything went downhill when I left for a few years, not forever. But if I'd have stayed in '89, I might have, things mightn't have gone out of control. I might have been all right. But I didn't. I decided I wanted to come home because I was kind of homesick. I'd done 4 years. I thought, I want to go home now.
Yeah. And
I thought other things would open up for me, you know, TV or films I wanted to do. That's what I really wanted to do, was do movies. I was just a bit disillusioned, maybe, because I've been in the industry for 4 years. I thought, you know, I was a bit cocky, a bit cocksure.
Well, yeah, but it's natural that you want to go and play something and challenge yourself to something else, though, isn't it? It's natural, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. It didn't happen. But, you know, if I could go back, as I say, I would. If any regrets I have, is one of them is that I would stay to do that sixth form, you know.
Oh, it's a shame.
But that was one of them.
But you did Brookside a couple of years later, because I think that's the next one. Because, actually before that, because I just wanted to ask, it's a bit more of a personal question, because you've lived and worked all over the country, making friends with gypsies, and I remember that story along the way. There's some real characters you write about, there are some real characters you write about in your book. Just wanted you to talk about some of those people in the book, make them famous if you like. Which one? There's so many in it.
Well,
there was the characters that you met, and one of them was sticking up for you because you had a big fight or somebody was going to start on you or something.
Oh,
and it was this big, nice caravan with like chandeliers and big glasses. You described it as, because you paint a really good, vivid picture in your book.
Yeah, that was a caravan, gypsy caravan. What happened was I come out of a nightclub. I went to a nightclub. I was only 16. I'd just not long been on Grange Hill. And we were in this club in a place called Carl Shorten, and it was a rough and ready nightclub. And there's people from Mitcham where I lived on one side. I didn't know any of them. And people from Carl Shorten on the other side. And there was an absolute hatred for each other.
I was going to say, I remember you saying this.
I'm in the kind of middle of this with these two guys who I went from Mitcham with. And one of the guys I went with was like 6'3" and massive. Next thing he's fighting with all the doormen. And he's like, it took all of them to get him out. And he's out, and his mate followed him. And I'm on my own now in the middle of all this. So I thought, oh, I best get out. So I've gone to go out. As I've got outside, I just felt this, and I can still feel it to this day. It was like a train hitting me. He like come from behind and punched me so hard in the face on my jaw. Lucky he didn't break my jaw. And
you went straight down, didn't you?
Yeah, my legs went like jelly. I just hit the floor. And I was surrounded then by him and a few others. They were like a pack of hyenas, and he's shouting obscenities. I won't even say what he was shouting about Mitcham. I'm not even from Mitcham, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm just.
Thing.
I know. But it was that weak. My legs, I didn't want to stand up because I thought I want to get battered if I stand up anyway. I was just like, didn't know what to do. I was just sort of looking, waiting for them to come in, really. I thought that's the next step. I'm just going to get really beaten up here, and there's nothing I can do. Yeah. And then a group of gypsies come out. So we didn't know we were gypsies at the time, but they were, because I got to know them afterwards. They seen this going on and chased them, and a few of them. And the gypsy girls and a couple of lads picked me up, put me in a taxi. We went back to the caravan, the girls' caravan where they lived. And there was an old grandmother, old gypsy woman. She cleaned me up properly because there was blood, and give me a glass of brandy and I stayed there for a bit. And then I went home and I became their friend. They guarded me basically for the next 4 years.
Yeah,
all them gypsies in London, in Mitcham. Yeah, they weren't for them. There would have been more incidents like that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Because obviously you dispel the notion of like gypsies, because everybody always expects, it's like you said, it wasn't a scruffy caravan, it was a nice big caravan, and everybody sort of tied gypsies as a tie, with the same brush. So that's why it was quite nice for you to mention that. Yeah,
no, I never had any problems with any gypsies while I was in London. But them ones they were like London gypsies, South London gypsies, and there was a few Irish gypsies that used to come into the affray as well, and they were cool with me. They were quite funny. I know that when they first met me, they didn't know I was on Grange Hill. They just seen a kid on the floor in trouble and rescued him. They didn't think there's that kid off Grange Hill, and it had in the initial beginning, it had nothing to do with the fame.
That makes it more genuine, doesn't it? Really,
yeah. It was just nice, yeah. And then I got to know the top one, and he properly made sure I was looked after then. This guy Dave, yeah, he was like the king of the gypsies at one time. He wouldn't let him.
I mean, do you still see them now, or?
Yeah. When I go to Mitcham, yeah. I visit them quite often, yeah. And I used to have a drink with them. Obviously, I have shandy with them now.
But you're allowed to treat yourself now and again.
Yeah. I'll go overboard every now and again. On a special occasion as well. I might have a bottle of Peroni or something. I think sod it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Christmas is coming up and lockdown's here, so you'd be entitled to, I'd say.
Yeah, I'll have the odd bottle, you know what I mean? And it's nice. But you know what I'm going to do? It tastes like the greatest taste in the world as well. When you've got months without a bottle. It's like I don't know if you've ever seen the film Zulu.
Yes.
Do you remember Hook, when he goes through hell? And he smashes the bottle of brandy and he just swigs it, and you can just see in his face the relief of it.
Is that you?
Like when I have it.
Well, never mind. That sounds good to me. I wish I could just have the one and just leave it at that, but it doesn't quite work out that way.
Trust me, it tastes nice when you have it.
Yeah, I can imagine. I was going to say, because prior to you being in it, because I know you hadn't watched Grange Hill before you were in it, but we're coming up to Brookside now, because prior to being in it, had you watched Brookside before you first appeared? Because you first were in it in 1991 and you made some more appearances in 1992. I know one of them was at Rod and Diana Corkill's wedding, I think, wasn't it? With your mate, Jason Hope.
Yeah, Jay, yeah. I watched it when it first started. In 84, I think it was, Barry and Terry, and when all that were going on, I used to always watch it. And I first went in it in 91 due to an actor who was in it. I was in hospital in 91. This is the weird thing. When I went in Brookie the first time, I wasn't ever 100%. I was just not long got out of hospital. And
that was after. Right, okay.
I look rough. If you look at me, I look quite rough. I look rough looking because I had 6 months in a psychiatric hospital. So don't look me, and I know my acting's not great neither. I don't think. It's the second time is different, but that first time I was still a little bit on edge. But Danny McCall, who was in it at the time, he played Owen. Yeah, I don't know whether he asked them if I could be in it or he demanded I be in it, but he come to visit me in hospital, and he said, and he had a word with the bosses at Brookie to get me in, to help me get over me what I'd just been through. And that's how I first went in. They'd give me a chance. They let me film for about 5 or 6 episodes to help me confidence and get me back on my feet a bit after what I'd just been through. That's what that first time I was in it was all about. They done me a favour, really.
Yeah.
That character was never supposed to be in it. They've written him in just to help me.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that. That's
there was
really
no
cool.
audition. There was no auditions. There was no nothing. Just in.
Well, I thought you did well on your first. I know you say you didn't think your acting was up to par in the 1991 episode, but I thought so. I mean, he looked just like little Jimmy. He just looked like a lost soul, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he was, wasn't he?
I'd never seen him till you put these clips up recently. I'd never seen any of these since I left. So
I hope I haven't embarrassed you. Well, I think they're not embarrassing. They're good to look back on. I think I held it well.
I can see the difference though between the 91 clips you put up to the 96 clips. I just know I was on the ball in 96. I was 100% fit. I was in my prime, and my acting was. I've been going to these classes in London just before the Kamansky method. This guy Kamansky, he was getting like dangerous acting. He'd take you over the edge. I had me hyped up, right, ready for this part. because I knew what it entailed. I told them there's scenes of crying, there's scenes of where I'm cold turkeying, there's where I go manic, whatever, you know. And eventually I was going to die, you know what I mean? It was intense stuff. So I wanted to be prepared, you know, because I'd had a few years of not doing any television or theatre. So I went to Kamansky, and he in London, and he sorted me out, you know.
Well, you just answered that question because I was going to ask you, because obviously the second time you were in it, there was some really, really heavy scenes. So I was just going to ask how you build up to that. So you've just answered that. So I've just got to mention this because when you went back in Brookside in 1996, you said in your book that you had to re-audition for the part, and you made a very believable story to Phil Redmond to ensure you got the part. Well, did he ever find out about that?
I don't know. If he's read the book, he will, won't he?
Well, I was going to say that he's surely got to be impressed with your initiative because he gave you the part.
Yeah. It was just the first thing that came out of my head. First thing that came to my head, you know, because he said, why should we give you the part? And I thought, well, the best thing I can give him is that I know someone who's on this drug. And I did know people anyway. I'd seen people over the years. I've met people who are addicts. So I wasn't lying that much. I was just, the only bit I lied about was when I said I watched them, you know, pass away.
You knowing all these some of these addicts and stuff, did that help you in your role prepare? Because, I mean, you really looked off your face. That scene that you liked with where you end up pushing Jackie Cork, your mom, little Jimmy's mom, down the stairs, that was quite a big, because you had to be really hard. You caught little Jimmy catches Ron and Jackie on the bed kissing, and then he ends up pushing her down the stairs accidentally.
That's my favourite scene. If I could pick one scene I've ever done in my whole life to show a film director or a producer, that's the scene I'd say, just watch that, please. Don't worry about anything Grange Hill or anything else I've done. That's the scene I think I peaked because I really got hyped up for it. And I drew on things of my own past that I've been through, dark things, and I used that manic things I've been through in when I'm looking at him, and that's what I drew on, my past. It all came out in that scene.
Yeah, because it was a really intense scene, and it was really powerful, like I said as well. I mean, you looked completely off your face, and you weren't acting it. It was like you were really feeling the part and stuff, which was what I loved about Brookside.
Yeah. Well, they had great writers. Some of them writers were top notch. You know, you got to thank them as well for writing a lot of that stuff.
Of course, yeah. Like Jimmy McGovern and Kay Mellor was one.
Yeah, Sean Duggan as well.
You find I saw his name rolling up on your last episode today when
I noticed it.
The little Jimmy dying. Yeah, and it said Sean Duggan on the credits.
He, funny enough, he went to Everyman with me when we were 14. When I used to go to Everyman, Liverpool Everyman in Liverpool. Me and Jason opened, this other guy, John. He was there, Sean Duggan. He used to hang out there as well and do the improvisations with us. So we go back since that long, you know what I mean? And ironically, he ends up writing Brookside, the episodes where I was going off my head with in Brookie. So
brilliant. You're having a vape again. You're making me want my vape now. I'm not over the giving up smoking part yet. I'm still having one in the morning, one at night, and one after tea. So I'm getting there.
Yeah.
You've got to want to do it. It will. I'll get there. New year. We've done the prepare. We've done the favourite scene. Well, I have to ask you because otherwise fans won't forgive me. I'm just interested in what your personal opinion is on, because lots of people are always saying it would be great if they brought both Grange Hill and Brookside back. What is your personal? I'm doing a petition because I'd love to see Brookside rerun. I'm not sure about a new series if that's the way it should go. I don't personally think it would work now because there's been so much longer. That's just my personal opinion. So just wondered what your take was on that.
I think someone said it is getting rerun somewhere, you know, Brookside. It is a channel. It is getting run somewhere. Someone keeps telling me. People keep
someone told me that, and then I kept looking around and thinking, no, it's not. And I don't know if it's you've got Liverpool regional stations or something.
Some channel's got it somewhere, yeah. I don't know which one, but I keep hearing it's getting shown. I watched it the other night, but it's near the beginning. It's within the first few years. So it's ages away, like 84, 85 season maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is shown somewhere. Some channel is showing it, yeah.
Far into that because everybody's crying. I mean, last lockdown, I woke up one morning and what was trending on Twitter was Brookside because they'd had this poll on a program called The Last Leg, I think it was, and they were asking what were the programs that you'd like to bring back from Channel 4, and the top two were Big Brother and Brookside. And I thought, well, they might repeat it now, but because Channel 4 seems to have, I don't know. You know, I mean, they've just not done a documentary about it. I mean, they had the 30th anniversary in 2012. I thought, they'll do something for it, but they didn't. I know they did a big party, the cast did, but I hope they do something for the 40th. You know, Channel 4, they make a documentary about it or something.
Who knows? You hear things.
You don't know, do you? It's just one of those things. I mean, I always thought when they finished it, I thought, they'll rerun it soon anyway. And here we are 17 years later. But now you've said that, though, I'm going to be investigating afterwards, find out what channel this is on.
Yeah. It is something, not more than one person's told me. So it must be shown somewhere.
Oh, well, I want to watch it then. Definitely. I'm having trouble reading my own writing here. Because reading over your life story, this is quite funny because you had a lot of fights and mishaps during your younger days. I think there was I'm just wondering, there's a story where some lad got you locked out your dad's house or something, so you sent him up a ladder and he got stuck in the window or something.
Yeah,
these are all stories that were making me laugh, you see, so I just thought I'd ask you about them. And
yeah, that was an Irish Mancunian friend of mine called Harry. Harry, we all went out in Liverpool, about 5 or 6 of us, and we used to go to a club called The Cabin, and we all got split up at the end of the night, 2, 3 in the morning, and Harry was staying at mine at the time, and my dad was away for the weekend. So it was a Saturday night, about 3, 4 in the morning, and Harry gone back to our house, but I hadn't gone back yet. I was still in town, whatever I was up to. And he's knocking on the door thinking I'm in the house, but I wasn't. And he's knocking and he's banging and he's banging. And anyway, I pulled up in a cab about half an hour later, half the street, looking out the window. I said, Harry, what are you doing? He said, I thought you were in the house. I said, no. Anyway, he broke the door. I couldn't get in. He broke where you put the key in.
When you tried to get your key in, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
I couldn't get in. I said, you broke the bloody lock. I said, so anyway, I spotted a ladder on the last house overhanging the wall. So I said, Harry, you're going to have to go up the ladder and get through my dad's window and let me in. Otherwise, we're not going to get in. So we get to the ladder. And anyway, he goes up the ladder. Now the whole street's on the step. I was like, oh, embarrassed, my dad's house. And he climbs through the window, but he got stuck halfway through. So it was just his legs dangling for about 10 minutes, screaming, George, help me, help me.
Sure, it wasn't funny at the time, though.
Well, he didn't find it funny. I mean, he laughs now. But there was nothing I could do for him because I'm at the bottom of that holding it, So anyway, he eventually pushed himself through. And that was that. Like, he let me in. But no one on that street would look at me for a long time. I was like, dead,
Do they know who you are?
Yeah, do you know who it was? Some of them, I mean, I know a few of them, they're great. We laugh about it. The guy opposite commonly.
I've just remembered now, just thinking, talking about, because there was one story I'm sure you had a van or something and loads of things came out the back of the van and then you were trying to put them all back in and everybody was shouting, Ziggy, Ziggy.
No, that was me and my pal. Yeah, that was me and my pal, Stevie. We every Christmas we used to sell Christmas trees, and we used to go to Delamere Forest. We used to know this farmer, and we piled the van up with about 50 trees, and we bought these little teddies as well that we had in the back, which we were giving out with the trees. And we were going down a motorway, but the back doors of this stupid van opened, so all the trees fell out onto the motorway, and all these teddies are bouncing down the road. So he's had to pull up. And he said, get George, throw them all back in the van. So I've had to dive out and I'm picking these trees up and throwing them back into the van. And just people driving past going, aye, Ziggy. It's like the last thing you want to hear when the last thing you want to hear when you're in a crisis like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's just funny.
People shouting Ziggy to you now?
Every so often you get the chant, I call it, the Ziggy chant. Now and again you hear the Ziggy. Yeah, when I'm walking around. You do it in cars. You do it in cars. I'll be walking down and I'm in the car and they'll shout it and drive off. So you're like, what can you do?
Yeah. Oh, God. I mean, do you still get recognised for little Jimmy?
More for Ziggy.
More for Ziggy, yeah. Well, that was, because that was a big role, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody always remembers little Jimmy. I know when we talk about Brookside, I know somebody was saying, oh, I remember that story. I loved Jimmy Corkle, and he had a son that died. Everybody always remembers that story. Well, it was, like I said, it was a big story at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I remember you first going into it, and of course, I was getting excited that you were in it because, of course, I'd watched you as Ziggy in Grange Hill, so it was like, oh, Ziggy from Grange Hill is going to be in Brookside. And when I found out you were going to be little Jimmy Corkill's son, I thought, wow, that's just perfect.
Yeah. No,
I mean, it must have been great fun to work with Dean Sullivan and Sue Jenkins.
Yeah, they were cool. Cool to work with them two, and the guy who played Max, he was a nice guy. Stevie Pinder, yeah, he was great, and Claire Sweeney,
Yeah.
She was my age, so I got on with her probably the most because she was more my age, you know. We used to spend a good time chatting. So, yeah, no, they were all fine. And Mickey Stark, who played Sinbad, he was a funny guy to be around.
Michael Stark.
Yeah, he was the Joker of the pack, you know.
Justine.
And Justine had left by the time I got there.
Everyone was saying that. She said she couldn't. Oh, yes, yes. No, she was just telling me about like Michael Stark having everybody in stitches on set and stuff.
Yeah, that's in. That's his character, you know. So
yeah, I loved Sinbad.
Well, I know Justine. Me and Justine get on, but we never actually worked together, you know.
Oh yeah, because she left in 1993, so it was a good few years before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever work with? Because there was a thing in a book with Paul Usher, not in Brookside, but there was a project, an Asian film or something you were going to do, and Paul Usher was going to be in the cast. Am I right?
Yeah, he was in it. There was loads of us in it. Lee McDonald was in it as well. Paul Usher, me. We had to live in Leicester. Me and my pal Stevie again went to Leicester, stay in a hotel. But it was for the Asian guys were making it. But they didn't have much money, so they were paying us in curries every night. That was our wages. We'd be treated to the best Indian in town, you know. And I love an Indian meal, you know.
Yeah,
so
I like Indian food, so
I
that would be payment enough for me.
Yeah, these were like the best tikkas in town. Yeah. And sadly, they run out of money, and the film never got finished. So, but it was really good. It was what we did film was really good. It was. I actually got shot in this film. Most programs I do, I die now.
Yeah, I was going to say you do die a lot in these programs.
Yeah, I tend to be killed in what I do now. It's like in the contract, he dies.
Yeah.
In this particular movie, I get shot, and they have all these pads. I don't know. They have like these like pads, bubble things strapped to you
for the fake blood to come out.
And they detonate it.
Yeah.
And it explodes like as if you've been, shot, and it's like quite scary because the power of it as well. But it was an experience, having all that. It was like Scarface, probably what happened in the end of Scarface. He was probably padded up, it's a bit of a Scarface moment. But as I say, it was never to be seen.
Oh, that's a crying shame as well because it had such a good cast as well.
Well, it was a mix of Asian actors and Liverpool actors and London actors because, as I say, Lee McDonald, who played Zammo, was in it too. So there was like a mix of Cockneys, Scousers, Leicester guys. So it was cool, but say never happened.
It's a bummer, isn't it? It did sound very good as well. Okay. So I have to write the questions down because if I don't write the questions down, then I'm frightened I'll go blank on that. So that's why I'm looking at the piece of paper because I write them all down, you see.
Totally understand.
Because it's only like 4 more now. Moving on to your more personal, was in 1991, the year that you turned 21. It was what we were saying before. You had what's known as was it your first manic episode, which led to you being hospitalised for the first time. Is that right? Because it was just before Brookside.
Yeah, 91 the first time. Yeah.
Okay. Because obviously back in the day, as we were saying, bipolar wasn't as commonly acknowledged as it is nowadays, and you described it like a skeleton in the closet. I can only say how tough it must have been for you. When was the actual time? When did you actually get the diagnosis of bipolar again? Sorry, because you didn't know you had it in 91. Am I right? When you first went into hospital in 91, you didn't know you had bipolar then, did you? It was 40 you said you had it.
About 40, about 10 years ago. It was suspected, but they didn't like to say it was called manic depression years ago. Yeah. They didn't like to say to you, especially being 21, he's got manic depression, you've got manic depression, because it's like a tag for the rest of your life that you've got it. I'm kind of glad they never told me, because I lived a great 7 years after it. Maybe a bit wobbly for the first year or so, but I lived a great life until 99. I was fine. I didn't have one hospitalisation. I didn't have a panic attack. I didn't have any anxiety. It was great. So I'm glad you never said to me that I had it. I only got told it 10 years ago, after there'd been I've been say 3 times I've been in hospital. Then after the third, they said, no, it has to be breakthrough, you know. So
they put you on some drugs, didn't they, at first, I think, and they made you feel worse. Is that right? Or more paranoid?
I've been on about it. I think I've been on everything at some point. Yeah, I'm on a drug now called lithium, which keeps me balanced. I take that every night before I go to sleep, and that just keeps me level. I don't go too high, because that's what I do. That's what bipolar is. You go too high, or you can go too low. I can get really low if things are going really bad. So I have to be careful. I don't go high and I don't go low. And that's basically what the lithium does for me. It keeps me level.
I know that you said in your book as well, there was a point that you stopped taking those, didn't you? Did you stop taking those tablets for a while and then realise that they were helping you?
Yeah, that's what put me in hospital the last time, because a doctor said to me, you only need to take these for 2 years. You can't come off them after 2 years. So with that being in my head, after 2 years, I wanted to come off them. And I tried it, but it didn't work. I ended up back in after 2 weeks, I think, tops. You know, so I learned I have to stay on them, you know, that's it. I tried and it doesn't work. I'm not going to come off them and spend another 4 to 6 months in hospital again.
But you feel balanced now?
Yeah, I feel okay. I'm, you know, I say have good and bad days. Some days, I do feel a bit. Obviously, things can get to you. You know, just depends. But I'd say 90% of the time, I'm all right. You know, just the only major issue I have is sleeping. I'm not a great sleeper.
Yeah, you had a lot of sleepless nights, didn't you? Is this what? Because it always. Is that how it started, where you weren't sleeping? Because that's what it's sounded like.
Yeah, once you lose a few nights sleep, it's dangerous. You start imagining things, and you know, as you know, it can be used as a form of torture. So I try to keep on top of it, but some nights I just can't sleep. It's just that's the thing. That's my main thing. I try and meditate a bit now. Things I put in place. I'll play calming music as I'm sleeping. I do have sleeping pills, but I'll try not to use them. I don't want to rely on them. You know, I want to do it myself without relying on these tablets, you know what I mean? So I just, I play relaxing music, or I'll do my own little meditate, you know, where you tense your feet and your legs and your back and whatever. And that can ease a bit of, you know, any stress before you sleep. So it's all little things I try and put in place now, you know.
Good.
But that's if there's ever anything that goes on, it's sleep.
Obviously, yeah. Okay. I was just going to say because I just wanted to ask you about your book, because I think your book, obviously, it is going to help people, especially with people that are, you know, that have mental health issues. I personally think it would raise more awareness if your book were to be adapted to, you know, the screen or something. So if that ever was the case, I bet you haven't thought about this before. Who would you like to play yourself?
Obviously, I'd like to play myself.
Of course.
You know what,
somebody have to play 16-year-old Ziggy, of course.
Yeah.
Is your son an actor?
No.
No, right, okay. Because I know when I asked John McArdle this, he answered his son, you say, so I thought you were going to say his son, but...
Yeah, no, he never really got into it. Although when I do get little auditions and that, he reads them with me. Yeah. You know, you have to do them, like a lot of auditions now in the house. You film it yourself on your phone and you send it to them. He reads the other parts. He's actually good. You know, he's probably better than me when I was his age. But he's like in the Navy, and he works in construction at the moment until he goes away. So he's not really that into that. But no, I can't think of any young actors who could around right now. What I watch who would play me. I mean, ideally, what's his name? I can't even think of his name. What's that program?
Was the Jack that you're talking about, was he in Brookside?
No.
Oh no, I was thinking of Jack. I was thinking about the one that played Little Josh. Sorry, I thought it was who you were on about.
No, not him. No. You'd have to have someone like Johnny Depp or someone, I think, wouldn't you? In the end.
Yeah, of course.
You know. I don't know, Johnny Depp.
Oh, Brad Pitt. Yeah. Well, speaking of your son, I've just got to ask, just out of curiosity, have you ever shown him any? Has he ever seen episodes of like Grange Hill and Brookside? Because to him, I imagine it's going to be really old school.
You know what? When the first lockdown kicked off, I got him up on the YouTube, and I was just showing him certain scenes where little sly things have been added, like what me and Drummond and Alfred done. Little sneaky things, ad-lib bits.
Because you did ad-libs, didn't you? I meant to put that in there. You did ad-libs sometimes in Grange Hill, didn't you?
Constantly towards the end, yeah. It was like every other scene to be something. And I was showing them, and he was laughing his head off. I was saying, watch what he says here, Drummond, watch what I say. And we were laughing at, because I hadn't seen him for years, but I got him up on YouTube. So he has seen bits, you know what I mean?
Cool. Okay, well, your last question is finally, do you have what are your plans for the future?
The plans for the future?
More roles?
Right, everything you've kind of been talking about, I can't say too much about it yet because I haven't got the job yet, but I'm going to be in this field, working in this field of mental health somewhere down the line. I've been doing these courses, and I'm almost a way in. So I'm going to be everything in that book. When I'm talking about helping people, I'll be doing it in real life soon. That's what I've decided my future is, because auditions and not getting parts and getting let down, it's
negative emotion.
Too much of a stress. I want stability to go to work and just come home and know where I am and get in a routine, not this,
But that's a big sense of achievement, though, isn't it? By helping others, because that's what you're going to be doing. So that's a big sense of achievement, and that's a much better feeling than auditions, I imagine.
Yeah, it is. I've had a great life doing all the TV and films and plays. I've done all that.
You
so
feel like you close the door now. It's time. That's part of your life's over with now, do you?
Yeah, that chapter's over. This is going to be what I want to do. Is now everything I've learned, I will put into other people, help other people who need people like me, and they only employ people like me because I've been through what I've been through. So it's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. You can share your experience and help others. Well, just before you go, I can't go without mentioning the title of your book. I've mentioned it so many times this week, but just in case nobody knows, From Grange Hill to Biploar and Back. George, where's the best place to? Would you prefer people to come to you for signed books, or would you direct them to Amazon?
It's up to them. It's totally up to them. They can go to Amazon. It's on there, or they can message you or me, and I can send them a signed book.
There you go, folks.
I've got them. I buy them off the publishers and send them out to people to sign to them. And I throw in a couple of publicity pics and as well of John.
Yes, I know. Thank you for mine.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you for the bookmarker.
So I'll always throw a few free bookmarkers in as well,
Yeah.
So it's whatever you want to do.
That.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, 35 years ago when I was very first watching Grange Hill, I didn't imagine I'd be interviewing you like all these years later, but here we are. And I don't know about you, but it's 8:25. It's been nearly an hour and a half, and to me it feels like 20 minutes.
It has flu on it, yeah.
This is what I mean. 40 minutes, we wouldn't have even touched base, so I'm glad that we've had this time. But honestly, it feels like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I've gone through, yeah.
Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been good, mate. Yeah. We covered most bases, I think, there, haven't we?
Good, yeah, I hope so. And I'm glad you liked all the questions as well.
Yeah, no, nice one. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, George. So don't forget George's book, From Grange Hill to Biploar and Back. You can either buy it at amazon.co.uk or you can email direct Facebook, sorry, start again. Facebook George directly, or speak to me and I'll pass your details on.
Yeah, I really want to do it, yeah.
In the meantime, what I should do now is nip off and have a cup of tea, and then I shall download this video, put it onto YouTube and start sharing it around, and then read the comments about this afterwards.
Yeah, nothing nasty, please.
Oh, no, I hope there's nothing nasty. I hope there's nothing nasty. But yeah, please share on your wall as well.
Yeah, I'll put it up on mine, yeah, no problem.
Brilliant. Well, George, it's been an absolute pleasure. Your book is fantastic, and I recommend it to everybody. And really compelling read. And it's one of those books that you don't want to put down. I really mean that. Like I said, I read it in 4 long marathon sessions. So it's one of those kind of books, a real page turner. So you should get it.
Yeah, I try to put as much in as I could.
It's a brilliant book, mate. It's a really well-balanced book as well, though. It's like you said, you've got your funny stories and your entertaining stories, and then it goes obviously a little bit more serious and stuff, but you paint a really vivid picture as well. I was imagining you having all these fights and...
There wasn't that many. It probably
not that many fights, but it was just what got me was the fight between you and John Alford. But you were only kids then. I just thought it was funny. That's all. It was like, I never guessed that, so...
Yeah. Oh no. We have a good laugh at that now, you know.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's been a pleasure. So I shall say good night to you all, and thank you again, George, for your time. It's much appreciated. And I shall be back next week. Hopefully, it's a guy. Barry Hales. Do you know him from EastEnders? He played Barry. He would have been in. Do you remember Michael Cashman?
Yeah.
Yeah, he played his partner in it. His partner in it called Barry.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, good acting. Yeah.
Oh right, great. Yeah, well, he should be hopefully next week. I've got to speak to him and just arrange a date for him, so he'll be coming up soon. So
cool.
Okay. Right. Well, I should on the vape again. That's exactly what I'm going to do now as well. Have a toke on the vape.
I know.
Right.
10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes. I better have a go.
Yeah. I wish I'd had my vape here anyway, but never mind. Right, I shall let you go, and good evening, and I shall speak to you soon, George.
Yeah, cheers, Ian. Take it easy.
Yeah, cheers, absolutely pleasure, mate. Have a lovely day.
Cheers.
Nice.
You too. Cheers,
okay, mate.
Hopefully you'll sleep tonight.
Later.
Hopefully you'll sleep. You. Cheers.
Good night. Good
cheers,
night,
mate.
all. Ta-ra. Ooh. Oh, sorry.